I've always had a complicated relationship with mowing the lawn. When I was a little kid, I'd often watch the adults in my life fire up the lawnmower on a sunny summer day and push it endlessly through the tall grass. It was loud, it was dangerous, it was messy, and it smelled of gasoline and exhaust fumes. But most of all, it was off limits, which meant it was absolutely fascinating to me. Then I remember when I was finally old enough to start mowing the lawn myself. It was like some kind of ceremonial rite of passage. I was no longer just some little kid. I'd arrived. I was a teenager and I had responsibilities. Sure, I'd love to hang out this Saturday, but first, I get to mow the lawn. Sorry I missed your phone call, but I was outside cutting the grass, all by myself. I was so proud. I'd imagined that this must be what it feels like to get your driver's license, or be old enough to drink beer. I'd stare out the window trying to make the grass grow with my mind, longing for the next opportunity to fire up the lawnmower and feel like an adult. But much like the summer itself, this pride and excitement slowly faded over time. Mowing became a chore, something I was forced to do, something that always got in the way of my fun. Sure, I'd love to hang out this Saturday, but first I have to mow the stupid lawn again. My dramatic teenage mind had me convinced that lawn mowing was just some sort of indentured servitude, an unjust and inescapable fate. I'd wake up on Saturday mornings hoping for rain so that I could say, "Sorry, Mom, the grass is too wet. I'll have to go hang out with my friends instead. There's always tomorrow." But as the years passed, my relationship with lawn mowing continued to evolve. It was still a chore, but it also became an opportunity. The endless concentric circles became hypnotic. The white noise of the mower helped to drown out the hustle and bustle around me, and though it was loud, it almost felt like a form of mental silence. And once you mow a particular yard a couple of times, it takes very little concentration from then on out. So mowing the lawn gave me a chance to clear my head, be completely alone, and think. I've often said that I hate having to mow the lawn, but I love doing it. You see, the having to makes it a chore, but the actual doing is like meditation. It's relaxing and de-stressing, and gives me time to work through whatever mental problems I'd been struggling with all week. Perhaps my conflicted feelings towards cutting the grass stem from the societal expectation that surrounds it. Consider this for a moment. In many ways, maintaining a perfectly manicured lawn is a completely ridiculous pursuit. It is a constant battle against nature in which we end up spending a significant portion of our free time doing the exact same thing week after week after week after week. Mowing removes the individuality of our homes. It cuts down potentially gorgeous wildflowers. It destroys otherwise ideal habitat for frogs, butterflies, and songbirds. Plus the sound. Sure, it's meditative when it's your own lawnmower, but it's just irritating noise pollution when it's your neighbor's. And speaking of pollution, according to the Government of Canada, running an older lawnmower for 1 hour can produce as much air pollution as driving a new car for 550 kilometers. And in the US, it's estimated that at least 5% of greenhouse gas emissions are caused by lawn mowing alone, and that 17 million gallons of gasoline are spilled onto the ground every year just while refilling lawn equipment. That's 50% more than spilled during the Exxon Valdez incident. So it's easy to argue that continuously maintaining a lawn is irrational, and even irresponsible. And yet, we instinctively judge our neighbors as lazy, negligent, and dysfunctional, based solely on the length of the grass in front of their house. Since the Second World War, modern society has pressured us into keeping up with the Joneses, and so it should come as no surprise that lawns as we know them today are a relatively new invention. Prior to the 20th century, lawn maintenance was primarily performed by animals, because the word lawn was simply used to describe a segregated area of land used for grazing livestock. Only the wealthy aristocrats could afford the manpower needed to swing scythes at tall grass. Common folk likely marveled at the outrageous excesses of the pompous upper-class elites. But the invention of the first lawnmower and then the emergence of suburbanization in the early 1900s, it suddenly became possible for the middle class to create some luxury of their own. And once it became possible, it quickly became expected. Now, as a homeowner myself, I often consider the contradictory nature of my yard work. On one hand, I cherish the opportunity to be alone with my thoughts and love the feeling of pride and accomplishment and the smell of cut grass once I'm done. But on the other hand, I detest my irrational obedience to these societal norms. I feel guilt for my negative impact on the environment and for contributing to the cycle of cultural pressure and expectations. Clearly, I need to think about this some more. And so for now, I mow.